Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident god of thunder. On this episode of Thor Talk, we'll take a look at Thor #1 for the new 2018 series, which features the long-awaited return of Thor. In this issue, he's desperately trying to reclaim the lost artifacts of Asgard, which gets him into fights with Namor the Submariner and the unstoppable Juggernaut. Plus, in the far future, Old King Thor's universe is dying, and a very unexpected old friend meets him to tell him what's happening on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard, and this world is under my protection.
So, in case you've missed it, here's a rundown on recent events in Thor's life. The Dark Elf Malekith is raging a war in all the realms. He sent Loki to kill his adopted mother Freya, so Loki stabbed her in the back with a poison dagger. She recovered, but the city of Asgardia has been destroyed, leaving the relics of Asgard scattered across Earth as the Asgardians move back into Asgard. Mjolnir itself was destroyed, so Thor commissioned the dwarves to make him several hammers as he goes in search of the lost relics of Asgard. Thor #1 was written by Jason Aaron and was published in June of 2018. Our story begins with Thor in Thailand, with the mind-controlling Warlock's eye in hand. He is being chased by the followers of Cyttorak, for the eye landed in Cyttorak's temple. However, Thor finds himself with nowhere left to run, as he's now at the edge of a cliff, with no hammer to help him fly away. He wished to avoid bloodshed, but sees he has no choice as Cyttorak's champion emerges, the Juggernaut. Thor tells him to stand down, or he will deal with him as he has done many times in the past. But Juggernaut says things are different. He's become Cyttorak's champion again. He's more powerful than ever, and since he's standing in Cyttorak's temple, he's even more powerful, making him the ultimate Juggernaut, while Thor has one arm and no hammer. Thor tries to talk him down, but Juggernaut sucker punches him off the cliff. He calls to his dwarf friend Screwbeard to send the latest hammer they've been working on, as Juggernaut scoffs, saying maybe they should give the woman Thor her job back. But thunder crackles behind his back as Thor flies up with a hammer in hand and hits Juggernaut, only for the hammer to shatter. Juggernaut grabs Thor and begins to choke him, so Thor tells Screwbeard to send them all. Then, dozens of hammers fall from the sky. One of the disciples of Cyttorak inches closer to one of the hammers. "That's a lot of hammers, and none of them appear to be the mighty Mjolnir of legend. Do you even have to be worthy to live? What you have to be is the god of thunder. Whosoever holds this hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Allow me to introduce myself, knave. My name is Thor!" Moments later, Thor flies towards Asgard with both the eye and hammer in hand. Screwbeard asks him if he used the Hulk Smiter hammer to defeat the ultimate Juggernaut. Thor says that he used all of them. Screwbeard is quite upset to hear that Thor has broken all of the hammers that they have worked so hard on and Odin enchanted. Thor says that he needs a stronger hammer, an Uru hammer, but Uru is now in short supply. But Thor's allies vow to help find Uru if any still exists. Thor goes to Heimdall to see how the repairs on the Rainbow Bridge are going, but they are far from completed. With the bridge broken, Thor has no way to get to the War of Realms. Thor then approaches his father, as Odin speaks solemnly of new wounds that will be harder to heal. Odin looks at Thor with sadness, and asks if he's seen Freya. On Earth, the Asgardian refugees are staying in the Bronx, as Asgard is rebuilt. Thor meets Jane, who is acting as his informant for the locations of Asgard's relics, and she tells him of one that is in the Southern Ocean. He goes to see Freya, who is tending to Volstagg, who was pulverized by the Mangog. Freya asks if Thor has seen Loki. Thor angrily says that if he had seen Loki, she would have heard thunder, and the roar of Loki's screams throughout the realms after he had stabbed Freya with a poisoned dagger. Freya says that Loki was trying to save her, as Malekith would have used a more permanent solution. Thor is having none of it and angrily leaves for the Southern Ocean in search of the Gem of Infinite Suns. There, he fights Namor, the king of Atlantis, who threatens to feed him to the biggest shark he can find. Moments later, Thor returns home, dropping what is presumably the biggest shark that Namor could find, and digs the Gem of Infinite Suns out of it. He gives his pet hellhound, Thori, permission to eat the shark as they go home. Thor now lives on a boat, and he puts the gem aside as he finds Loki sitting in his couch drinking his last beer. Thor throws Loki out of the boat and digs the hammer deeper into his jaw. Loki blasts him off, saying that he is not here to fight. Thor grabs him and throws him into his own boat. Loki says that he can transport Thor to the War of Realms in exchange for one of Thor's artifacts. Thor demands to know how Loki would do this, not knowing that he has already begun using his magic to transport him to the heart of the war. Loki plans on letting Thor go on this journey alone, but Thor grabs his brother, disrupting the spell. This causes Thor, Loki, Thor's pet hellhound Thori, Thor's goat Toothgrinder, and Thor's boat to be transported to Niflheim, the land of the dead, where they see Thor's brother Balder and Scourge the Executioner, ready for war. In the far future, Old King Thor wrestles with the last space shark in existence, as he and his granddaughters successfully put it on a vegetarian diet to ensure that it can survive without hurting those on Thor's newly restored Earth. Speaking of which, Thor is called down to his new Earth to find that the first woman he created is dying. Thor stays with her until she passes, and announces to everyone that they will begin mourning for her. But his granddaughters confront him, saying that they suspect the universe is dying, saying they think Thor knows it and is hiding it. Then, Mjolnir crashes into the ground, as Thor has sent it scouting throughout the cosmos. He puts the hammer to his ear and tells them that he must go away. He sees that the universe is truly dying and is blasted with fire, to see the source of such fire. An old Phoenix Force-powered Wolverine.
Hey, bub. Welcome to the end of time. Hope you brought some beer.
Okay, first of all, sorry for glossing over the Old King Thor parts, but I didn't want this video to go over for too long. If you want to see what happened in those parts in their full glory, buy the issue, because this is the first time I'm actually going to recommend a Jason Aaron issue since 2014. I mean, sure, it's not perfect, but it's good. Thor feels like he matters in his own book. The story is actually about him, and he feels like a character. The truth is, he might as well have been dead for the past 4 years, but now he's back to life. For the first time in a long time, I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see what happens next.
Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. If you want to keep up with Thor Talk and all Thor-related news, follow Thor Talk on Instagram @ThorTalk. You can also keep up with and support Thor Talk by simply subscribing. Once again, I'd like to formally state that all art and videos owned by its respected companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where...
You'll behold in breathless wonder